He'll be wondering where you are. She shrugged, feeling certain that Graham was likely asleep in his chair by now, rather than worrying where she was. Are you sure you're okay to close up? I'm fine. I'm quite capable of washing a few dishes and locking the door. He picked up Albert's dirty bowl. Are you okay getting home? It's not far, she reassured him. The Reverend did so much for the community. She didn't want to impose on him. Besides, a brief walk and some fresh air would be just what she needed after being stuck in a hot kitchen and a smelly hall. She sympathized with the plight of these homeless men and women and realized it wasn't their fault, but some of them really did smell quite bad. She'd get herself a bath when she got in. All right, as long as you're sure. Lorraine went about gathering her things, pulling on her coat and grabbing her bag. She'd already boxed up some of the leftover food and would enjoy eating it in the next day or so. Saying her final goodbyes to the Reverend, she walked out of the church hall and into the surrounding housing estate of Whitemore. The air was cool, and the street lights were on now that darkness had fallen on the city of Nottingham. The walk home was a short one, just through the estate, over the brownfield site where the old mills and factories had once stood, and back into Bobber's Mill, the suburban area where she lived with her husband. It was just on the other side of the River Leen, maybe a 10-minute walk at most. She'd be home before she knew it. Stuffing her hands into her pockets, she strode along the road, passing boxy red brick terrace houses with glowing windows and small front gardens divided by waist-high fencing. She'd walked home this way many times and knew it well. Nothing had ever actually happened to her. But there had been a few creepy or concerning moments over the years. Whenever possible, she preferred to get a lift from Shirley, but sometimes that just wasn't possible, and with Graham suffering badly from his sciatica these days, she felt like she couldn't ask him to drive around either. It triggered the pain and would leave him in agony for days. Whitemore wasn't a bad neighbourhood. Not really. It was like most inner-city areas where the local kids would hang around, bored out of their minds with nothing to do other than make their own entertainment. Turning off the road, she followed a path heading east alongside a slender green with a couple of trees. As she walked, she noticed a small group of teenagers standing in the shadows. Smoke curled up from whatever they were smoking as a couple of them glanced her way. Their eyes glinted menacingly in the dark. "You all right, love?" one of them called out. The young man's attention was unwelcome. She tensed as her heart rate spiked, almost expecting the worst. "Fancy a toke?" One of them held up the roll-up cigarette they were puffing on, causing the others to laugh. Lorraine didn't join in. She found the laughter intimidating and pulled her eyes away from the youths in the hope that her lack of interest would be reciprocated and they'd leave her be. As she left them behind, their jokes and conversation faded. 10 meters further on, she glanced back, but they'd remained under the tree. With a deep breath, she allowed herself to relax a little as she reached the next road and marched along the path. She had a few more roads to navigate before she reached the railway footbridge and the long walk across the brownfield site back into her estate. Reaching the next corner, she glanced back once more before the small green fell out of sight, hoping to catch the teenagers still where she'd left them. But for a moment, she couldn't see where they were. Frowning, she turned her head more fully and noticed they'd moved and were walking this way. Lorraine's breath caught in her throat. Hoping she wouldn't be noticed, she focused on the road ahead and pressed on, putting a burst of speed to try and outpace them. Were they following her? It was possible, but it was also possible they were just locals going about their business and didn't even think that they might be freaking her out. After all, why would they be interested in her? She didn't have anything of value on her and had no interest in them. But there was that small nagging doubt that maybe their intentions towards her were not honourable, and they were about to ruin her evening. Or perhaps she was just being paranoid. As she walked, Lorraine squeezed her eyes shut for a second and offered a silent prayer to God, asking him to watch over and guide her safely home. Blinking, she ploughed on, taking a right and making her way east again. She was close to the railway bridge.